Ahoy, mateys! Prepare to embark on a thrilling journey back in time to the dark and mysterious era of Viking raids. Today, we're conjuring the image of a time when the seas were ruled by marauding Norsemen, known as Vikings. Picture a world where the horizon was a promise of unexplored lands and untold riches, and the glitter of gold and silver was a siren song beckoning these seafaring warriors. Born in the tumultuous 8th century in the rugged landscapes of Scandinavia, these Vikings were not just fearless warriors, but skilled seafarers. Their voyages took them across the treacherous North Sea, navigating through stormy weather and icy waves. Their vessels, the majestic longships, were not just modes of transport but symbols of their seafaring prowess and their unquenchable thirst for exploration and conquest. Now, what drove these men to brave such perilous journeys? Well, it was a potent mix of ambition, adventure, and avarice. They sought to expand their territories, seek new trading routes, and yes, they were driven by their lust for plunder. These warriors had hearts filled with dreams of glory and halls filled with stolen treasures. Their targets, monasteries, these serene and secluded places, home to monks devoted to a life of peace and piety, were rich in treasures. Laden with gold and silver, these holy places were irresistible to the Vikings. But it wasn't just the wealth that drew them. These monasteries were often located on remote islands or along the coast, making them easily accessible by sea, and therefore easy targets for the seafaring Vikings. And so, under the cover of darkness or the light of dawn, these fearsome warriors would descend upon these unsuspecting monasteries, their longships casting ominous shadows on the tranquil waters. The peaceful silence would be shattered by the clash of steel and the cries of startled monks. The Vikings would seize not just the gold and silver, but also sacred relics, believing that these holy objects would earn them the favor of their gods. With hearts full of adventure and a lust for plunder, these fearsome warriors sought riches far and wide. And thus began the age of Viking raids, a time of turmoil and transformation that would forever change the course of history. Now, imagine yourself standing on the shores of the unsuspecting island of Lindisfarne. Picture the serenity of the moment as the sun sets, casting long shadows across the peaceful landscape. The air is crisp, the silence profound. But this tranquility is about to be shattered. From the misty horizon, a fleet of longships materializes, their dragon-headed prows cutting through the waves with relentless determination. These are not friendly visitors. These are Vikings, warriors from the north, their hearts filled with a lust for plunder and a thirst for adventure. The island's inhabitants, a community of Christian monks, are oblivious to the impending doom. They are nestled within the sacred walls of their monastery, engrossed in prayer and contemplation. Little do they know that their lives are about to be upended, their sanctuary violated. As the Viking longships draw closer, the eerie sound of their oars hitting the water echoes through the still night. The monks, hearing the unfamiliar noise, look up from their manuscripts. Their eyes widen in horror as they comprehend the sight before them. Before they can react, the Vikings are upon them. With a terrifying battle cry, the invaders storm the monastery, their weapons gleaming ominously under the moonlight. They tear through the hallowed grounds, their eyes alight with greed. They show no mercy, no respect for the sacred. They are here for one thing: treasure. The monks, utterly defenseless, can only watch in terror as their haven is desecrated. Priceless relics, holy manuscripts, even the gold and silver adorning their altars, everything is fair game for the plunderers. The monastery, once a beacon of peace and devotion, is reduced to a playground for these warriors from the north. They ravage, they pillage, and they show no mercy. The monks, utterly defenseless, watch in horror as their sacred sanctuary is torn apart. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would these fierce warriors attack peaceful monasteries? It's an intriguing question, isn't it? Let's dive into the heart of the matter. The Vikings, although known for their ruthless raids, were not just mindless barbarians. Instead, they were shrewd, strategic, and motivated by a complex web of factors. Their motivations extended far beyond the mere accumulation of wealth, although gold and silver certainly held their allure. One of the primary reasons these warriors targeted monasteries was their belief in the power of religious relics and artifacts. The Vikings, like many cultures of their time, were deeply spiritual. They followed a polytheistic religion, worshipping a pantheon of gods and goddesses, each with their own distinct personalities and domains. To them, religious artifacts were not just symbols of the divine, but tangible connections to the gods themselves. They believed that these sacred objects held immense spiritual power, and by possessing them, they could gain favor with their gods. Moreover, the Vikings had a unique perspective on the afterlife. They believed in Valhalla, a heavenly hall of the gods where warriors who died honorably in battle would spend their afterlife. Stealing religious artifacts, in their view, could help secure a place in this glorious realm. Interestingly, the monasteries themselves played a role in attracting Viking raids. Often located in remote coastal areas, they were typically poorly defended, making them easy targets. Furthermore, monasteries were known to be repositories of wealth, housing not only religious artifacts, but also valuable items such as gold, silver, and precious manuscripts. So, while the Viking raids were undoubtedly brutal, they were also deeply intertwined with the Vikings' cultural beliefs and strategic considerations. The monastic treasures they sought were not just physical riches, but spiritual ones. The Vikings believed that by stealing religious relics and artifacts, they would gain favor with their gods and secure a prosperous afterlife. These raids weren't just isolated incidents on Lindisfarne, but spread like wildfire to other monasteries along the coasts of Britain and Europe. The Vikings, with their mighty longships and thirst for wealth, left a trail of destruction in their wake. But, as we'll see, the impact of these raids went far beyond the immediate terror and loss. The Vikings weren't just raiders, they were also traders, explorers, and settlers. As their raids spread, so too did their influence. They brought with them new technologies, new ways of doing things, and new ideas. They introduced the concept of a warrior king, a ruler who led by example in battle, and they brought a fierce sense of independence and self-reliance. But perhaps the most significant impact of the Viking raids was the cultural exchange that they facilitated. The Vikings came into contact with a wide range of cultures during their raids, from the Celts in the west to the Byzantines in the east. They absorbed elements of these cultures and incorporated them into their own, creating a rich tapestry of cultural influences that still resonates today. The Viking raids also had a profound impact on the political landscape of the time. They disrupted established power structures, creating a power vacuum that allowed new leaders and new alliances to emerge. This led to the formation of new kingdoms and the shifting of political boundaries, changes that would shape the course of European history for centuries to come. And let's not forget the economic impact of the Viking raids. The wealth they plundered didn't just disappear. It was redistributed, invested, and used to fund further expeditions, fueling a cycle of exploration and conquest that would see the Vikings reach as far as North America. However, the impact of the Viking raids wasn't all positive. The destruction they wrought caused immense suffering and loss. Monasteries were devastated, communities were torn apart, and countless lives were lost. But as with all historical events, it's essential to view these raids in their broader context and to recognize the complex and multifaceted nature of their impact. The impact of these raids was felt far and wide, forever changing the course of history. And yet, amidst all the chaos and destruction, these Viking raids sparked new alliances, technological advancements, and even paved the way for the formation of powerful Viking kingdoms. As the ashes settled and the echoes of battle cries faded, the landscape of Europe was forever changed. The Viking raids, initially seen as mere acts of savagery, played a pivotal role in reshaping the political, social, and economic fabric of the regions they touched. In the wake of these violent incursions, communities had to band together for survival, leading to the formation of new alliances and the birth of nascent nations. The Vikings themselves, once raiders and pillagers, began to settle in the lands they had once ravaged. They established powerful kingdoms in places like Normandy and England, leaving their indelible mark on these regions' culture and identity. Beyond the political sphere, the Viking raids also triggered remarkable technological advancements. The need to defend against these sea-borne warriors spurred innovations in fortification and shipbuilding. At the same time, the Vikings themselves were renowned for their craftsmanship, and their techniques in metalworking and ship construction were replicated and refined throughout the ages. The raids also had a profound impact on trade and economy. The Vikings didn't just plunder, they traded, creating new commercial routes and expanding the reach of European markets. They brought with them exotic goods from far-off lands, introducing new commodities to the European market and stimulating economic growth. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Viking raids is the cultural impact they left behind. These Norse seafarers carried their rich mythology and unique traditions wherever they went. They influenced the local cultures, and their tales and sagas continue to inspire literature and art even today. Their tales live on, etched in the annals of history, reminding us of the extraordinary power humans possess to shape the world around them. From the ashes of destruction, new societies arose, cultures merged, and technological advancements were made. The legacy of the Viking raids is a testament to humanity's resilience and adaptability in the face of adversity.